Okay folks, welcome to this video about my top 5 tips for how to be successful in survival. Now this is for the average player. I am by no means a beast or anything like that at the Division. I only recently picked it up again, but I found that these would be useful for the average player just looking to get through it. So the first thing is loot, loot, loot. You need to absolutely loot everything you can. From the moment you spawn, you need to be looting painkillers, medication, water, food, fabric to craft, warm gear, all that type of thing. And you need to plot your way around the map appropriately. So you need to be looting things like safe houses, obviously. Helicopter crash site's a really good one if you can get there before anybody else. Any landmarks you think you're up to taking. Other players, if you're doing the PvP side of things. Empty buildings or buildings that are open. Train tracks. Underground's really good. I like going to the underground depending on your spawn. And I only spend around 10 to 15 minutes on the outside before I eventually craft my filter and then get into the DZ as soon as possible. Second thing is, when you get to the DZ, you need to be plotting your antivirals as soon as possible and go and grab them because they give you Division Tech. As soon as you grab your antivirals, which is what you need to extract, just go to a safe house, craft your flare gun if you've got enough materials, and obviously the same applies in the dark zone as it did outside. Loot absolutely everything you possibly can and craft that flare gun. So by this point you should be in the DZ, antivirals got, Division Tech got, and the flare gun ready so you can extract. Third thing would be engagements. As you'll see in the gameplay in this video, you need to plan your engagements properly, and you always, or I always like to do it from distance. I use a sniper if I can, up until I meet the hunter, because the more distance you can have in your gameplay, the more likely you are to survive. I'm not a great sniper by any means, as the footage shows, but it's effective because it allows you to take out mobs, other players at distance, and then you can go in, grab the loot, and kind of move on. And again, same applies again. Loot, loot, loot as much as you can as soon as you get these mobs or other players down. So I mentioned earlier about looting absolutely everything. Here you can see there's a guy about to go unconscious because he's been hit by the ads. And I'm going to go and loot his body. There's no way I'm reviving him. Survival is kind of cutthroat. You've got to be brutal with it. I have revived people before, but not on this occasion. I was too far down the line. And I'm going to take all this stuff. And as you can see, he drops absolutely loads of stuff from it that I can then use to go and craft better gear. The fourth thing is to do with crafting. You need to be crafting accordingly depending on how you want to tackle the hunters. Now hunters are quick, agile, nimble, and they're very aggressive, so think about what you're crafting on the way up to it. I always craft the self-heal skill and the pulse. Always craft those two things. I want to know what's round about me and I want to be able to heal myself. I don't want to have to rely on medkits, but obviously crafting that additional medkit pouch and make sure you have free medkits in your inventory is always going to help. In terms of gear and weapons, I leave the gear as is. I maybe craft a chest piece or a backpack with some additional mod slots towards the end if I can, but I generally leave the gear as is. You've generally got enough. Purple gear is good enough to beat a hunter. So I focus on crafting the PP19 SMG Gold. Why? Because it's got a lot of rounds in the magazine, and it's fairly decent impact. It kind of shreds the hunter if you can sustain the shots on him. And my secondary generally is a shotgun up to that point, because if you do get the hunter, you know, in a grenade or shocked or in a turret or whatever you want to use, you can generally go up and finish him off with a shotgun. So the fifth thing is definitely how to tackle the hunter, and there's two ways to do it. One, you can be really passive. I always take them to DZ2, the extraction zone at DZ2. I always go there. I always stay in the lower zones as a general rule anyway, because it's a bit easier, but take them to the extraction zone at DZ2. By this time you should be fully geared up, etc. and you can either take a sniper and go to the opposite building from the extraction zone once you call the extraction, I think it's to the east, and snipe the hunter if you want, and then go in, collect your loot and call it in, get in the helicopter. Or, as this gameplay shows, you can be quite aggressive. You'll see there I've got a seeker mine on and a turret and my SMG, etc. And I just come down to the second level on this DZ because it's a parking lot. It's really good for cover and being able to retreat and things like that if you do get in a bit of trouble. Get my turret down. Didn't have to use a grenade on this occasion, but I have previously. Grenades are really useful. Get the turret down and just obviously put some rounds in and finish them off. The other times I've did it before, I finished them off with a shotgun and things like that, so it just really depends on how you want to play it. You can be passive or you can be aggressive. Just remember the hunters don't have a lot of hit points, but they can heal themselves quite quickly, so if you're going to go for them, you need to be confident that you're going in. It's kind of an all or nothing type thing. And finally, what I would highly recommend if you're doing survival for the first time is to go in as a pair. I found it really useful going in with Sliviz the first few times and getting used to it and things like that, and it's really good because you can share everything, cover each other's backs, that type of thing. But obviously the ultimate is being able to do it on your own, and it is quite a rush. But anyway, thanks for watching and we'll see you again soon.
You got 30 seconds to lift off.